So this was a $9,900 house. I'm going to be doing a video series on this property as I fix it, or more appropriately say, completely redo it. And I've done some videos of the inside already that I haven't released yet that I will, but I figured I need to properly introduce this property and explain it in all of its nitty-gritty details, so that there's at least a starting point that we all can go from. So these are pictures of the house as I got it. Now, I bought this house for, as I said, $9,900. As a matter of fact, I have an excerpt of the deed right here. And you can see that, yes, in fact, $9,900. That's what I bought this house for. This was a foreclosure. Someone had taken out a very large loan on it. It was foreclosed. And this house bounced between banks because they weren't able to sell it out with a conventional mortgage because of the condition of the house. Now, obviously, when you spend less than $10,000 on a house, you have an expectation of what you're getting. But, well, how do I phrase this? I knew this house had problems. Some of the problems I didn't think were as bad as they were. Other problems were not as bad as I thought they were. But first, let's kind of do an overview of the house and the property. So I have an excerpt here, which is about the property. This is from the state, where it's 2-story standard unit, exterior frame, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is its valuation. I have no idea how they came up with these totals, but that's the totals that they gave me. Now, this right here, primary structure built 1900, is actually incorrect. The primary structure was built in 1883. Actually, I have newspaper clippings that I have found in microfilm with the old papers in the area. June 2nd, 1883, Dr. Freisinger's 2 cottages are underway, and Gilbert's is under roof. And then on the 30th of June, he had a carload of furniture on the rail heading here. And on July 7th, he was in the house. And he actually built 2 houses. And I thought I had a picture of that. Hold on. Let me pause this while I go find that. Okay, so I found it. So here is a hand-drawn map that was done in 1906. And you see that there are 2 houses right here. This right here, this is the property. Originally, the main road was down here on this side, where you see the cursor. It has since changed, and this is now the main road. So this is actually the front of the house, although the back of the house faces the road because the road has moved. So there were originally 2 houses, as shown by the newspaper. However, currently, well, there's just this one. Now, if you're wondering which house is this one, I believe it's this house right here. Because of the way that the property is shaped and where there's open area and where there's not, this house, the second house here, is the one that is gone. Now, as I work on this property and I try to restore it as much as I can, I'm going to be building a garage. So I'm going to be building a garage in this spot, and I'm going to be trying to have it be the same exact style look as the house that I currently have. Well, this one, this mansard type roof detail. I'm going to keep that for the garage so that it has sort of an original look from what the second and the first building looking the same. The only picture I have found so far of this property that's historic is this picture right here. Now, this is a picture from, it's sometime after 1884, because this house right here, the one that's kind of shown by this blue section, this house was built by a neighbor, and they moved in 1883, but they lived in the tents. Actually, the tents that are mentioned right here, in addition to the doctor's 2 cottages, he has erected 4 canvas tents. This family lived in one of those tents until they got their house built. So I believe this one was built in 1884. How long after that till this picture was taken, I don't know. One of the boys in here, I don't know which one, he wrote for the local newspapers, both of them. And he told a lot of stories, and I've been able to get a lot of information from his writings that he wrote in the 50s before he passed away. Now, this right here is one of the houses on my property. I don't know which. Until I can hopefully maybe find some other photos. That's this block of white right here is clearly a structure. This looks like it might be a porch. This is the most that I have been able to find of the property. So I'm just kind of going off what I've been able to figure out by doing research. Unfortunately, there's a lot of information from this period of time which is lost, but I've found what I can find. So as I said, the house was built in 1883. So this part's wrong, but you know, who really cares about that? I have the newspaper records if anybody wants to see. This is, I believe, close to being accurate. I don't think it's 100% accurate, but it's close. Now, the way that living area is done in Maryland for enclosed porches changes, and that's something I've been trying to figure out, because this house was not ever made this way. Let me just go ahead and do a quick rundown of this. Let me change my cursor so I can kind of block things out. So if I do this, let me section this off, that, and actually let me close that off. Close that off. Now let me take that out. Let me do that again. Okay. Now let me paint this. Those are all additions. So this is the actual original house here. The section here and the section here were additions that were done at a later point in time. I haven't been able to figure out which. Now, the interesting part about these additions is the fact that the additions were, by and large, mostly porches, which then got enclosed. And because square footage, there's some peculiar rules around if enclosed porches become part of your interior square footage or not. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this figure should be. This figure is accurate if you include all of the enclosed porch areas. However, by looking at what I can from the laws, they maybe shouldn't be. Now, I don't care one way or the other, but it's a curiosity. So let's do another view. Actually, hold on. So what we're going to do is we spin around this house. I will make it so I explain it as I go. This section right here, the section that I had just painted white, this section was originally a porch. It is now the laundry room, bathroom, and kitchen. And we're going to be going around the house in this direction. So the next photo is this one. Now this is kind of a bad shot. Actually, let me jump ahead to this one. This is a little better. So here, this bit here, and you're wondering why I'm cutting it that way. Don't worry, I will explain. So, come on, close off. Now I can grab a brush. So all of this was a porch. This is another story. So this was a porch that was put on. There is no foundation underneath it. It's just some cinder blocks, some floor joist. They put down some ply, and it was a porch. And then later they wrapped it. When they did that, they didn't have a porch then, so they made this section here. So let me go back. So this, come on, change. There we go. So then this section here became a porch. But at some later point, as you see, they then enclosed that. So then that then got enclosed. So then they made another porch. Now, this is hilarious to me because if we go back to this one, you can see there's no way to get to this porch from inside the house. Actually, if we go over back to this, this. Here's the door. This is how you get out of the house. But yet, when you're here, you have to go out of the house and around the wall to get to the porch. Not really sure what they were thinking. Actually, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of things that they weren't thinking about when they did this house, or when the owners started doing additions, because all of the additions are really, really, really bad craftsmanship. For instance, this section of the house right here that was a porch is now kind of, well, I'm just calling it the foyer area. The roof of this is OSB, so it's particle board, which is really bad because it's exposed. So needless to say, it starts to rot from weather and moisture. And in one of the walkarounds, I think I actually show that, and the molding, as in mold, that is growing into the wood. This is just a nightmare. And of course, the windows are in pristine shape, as you can see. Actually, there is not a single window in this house that is not broken or cracked in some way. I thought maybe I could get one window that would be good. I was wrong. So let's move back a little underexposed, but so here's the foyer porch. There's the porch roof of what is now the kitchen and the bathroom. So this here, this, and coming back, is the, let me invert that. Where is it? Select. No, it's under selection. Invert. There. Paintbrush. So everything that didn't work. Okay, forget that, because I redid my selection here by accident. This is the original square section of the house. There we go, that part. Now, at some point, there was an extension right here. If we come back up to this hand-drawn map, you see there's this part that juts out. Now, I know this part is a porch, which we do have here, but I know for a fact that this porch is not original. This porch was added on at a later point in time. Now, I don't have the newspaper clipping of it available right now. I have found it. I have it saved. I just don't know where exactly it is. But in 1884, Freisinger did add additions, and that is what I believe is this addition back here. This is no longer a part of the house. It would have attached right here. Actually, I have another shot of the side. So that addition would have probably been about right here. Now, I have pulled off the interior paneling on the wall right here and found where the beams are that used to connect to the outside. But this, I don't know what this was, if it was just a bigger covered porch that kind of wrapped around, or if this was closed interior. Now, one thing to point is you see that this porch roof actually goes directly up to the house roof, whereas today it does not, because this was done at a later point in time. This was redone. There have been so many different changes to this house over the years. It's kind of been a fun little archaeological thing to try to figure out what is original and what got done at what time, because there are just layers and layers of work inside the house as different owners bought the property and then tried to change it to their liking. For example, and that's actually why I have this next picture right here. So this is wood shingles, this section right here in the center. These are wood shingles that one of the owners put on at some point in time, and yes, they painted them yellow. However, these shingles are not the original shingles. Originally, the house had shiplap exterior, which I don't think I have a picture of anywhere in this video, but I will definitely show that in another video once I start doing more work on the house. So this is the second exterior that was put on the house, and then at some later point, this was put on. However, these shingles that you see here, this brown, these are not the first shingles that were put on the house. There is another layer beneath that of green shingles, and they may be visible, yes, right here. So if we zoom in, here are the green shingles that are beneath the brown shingles. So there's just, again, layers on top of layers on top of layers. This next photo that I'm going to show, this is the back portion of this section right here. So this part. So this was the second porch that was put on. Because remember, the first porch was the one that was just on the other side of this wall over there. That is now the kitchen and bathroom. So then they put this porch on. And when they enclosed it, they then built this heater. So this section right here actually had its own coal or wood-burning stove inside to kind of heat this. Now, when I go to the interior, I'll explain this, but if I zoom back out to this one, we'll be good. There is a doorway between this section and this section, but there was not a door, so it was open straight through. Don't know who thought that was a good idea, but that was probably why they put a heater here, was to try to heat that whole enclosed porch area. This is technically the front of the house. Again, this is where the street is now. Back in the day, like back when this picture was taken, the street actually curved down and went down here, and this was just a service alley. Well, this road's gone away, so the house sits backwards to the road. Now, if you're looking at this picture and thinking, well, that house looks like it's kind of like tilted, slanted, and falling over, you would be correct. It is slanted, and it is partially falling over. That's one of the reasons why it cost what it cost. But there is a bit of an optical illusion because of this section here, which is another addition on top of addition, which we'll get to as we wrap back around the house. So on the porch, these steps are, this is a annoyance point for me. I will talk about that when I get to it. But if we go up these steps, we come to my wonderful porch that you can see here. That is just falling apart because the last, I don't know how many owners treated this place like absolute crap and just let it fall apart and didn't care about fixing it. Unfortunately, I'm kind of living in this house in this state because there's so much that needs to be done and so much wrong that has been done. I need to strip the whole thing down to do it right. Point of oddity, though, about prior owners. So going up onto the porch, I have this slatted wood panel ceiling, and you can see that it's bowing here because I had a water leak up here. So I needed to pull this down to find out exactly where the water leak was on the back of this part of the roof. You can see it falling down there. Well, when I did that, I found part of a deer skeleton up here. Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that a deer didn't crawl up in here and then leave half of itself up here. So I don't know what was going on there. I don't know why there was deer bones up here. Not a whole deer, just parts of it. And not parts an animal could have gotten up there. I don't know if squirrels are carnivores. I don't think they are. I know at one point I did have a squirrel that lived up there. He might actually still be up there. He comes and goes. Unfortunately, he doesn't pay rent. But this is the kind of weird stuff that I'm talking about with this house that I found. I've also found a typewriter in the ceiling, and I found knives all over the place. It's an interesting house that definitely has some interesting stories. So the stairs that I was talking about is right here. So these stairs were put on effectively to hide a problem. One thing that I've definitely figured out from the prior owners is that they are really, really big on, oh, there's a problem there. If I cover it up, it goes away. Because that's what they did here. So they built a wall on this side that was stepped, and they built one on this side, and then they dumped rubble and backfill and junk and tons of stuff in here, and then had it just capped with these steps. Because, well, now the problem's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. That's not true. It does exist, and it's causing the wall back here to fall in because of all the pressure of this leaning up against it. Now that is this section here of the porch. I have a picture, not loaded, of that interior wall. Actually, let me see if I can find that real quick. Hold on a moment. Let's pause. Okay, found it. So here is the inside of that porch. Here's the porch floor. Here's that porch beam. All of that weight from all that rubble has been pushing back on this wall, and it's causing this wall to fall in. And you see that somebody thought spray foam. Spray foam is an amazing structural component that we can spray in there before this wall continued to fall. I really hope they didn't think spray foam was going to actually do anything. But honestly, knowing the other things with this house, I believe it might have been, because they've used spray foam all over the place. They used it here for this header on top of this where they cut in a window. I don't... Yeah, let's just stop talking about them for right now, because I'm just going to get frustrated. So, if we go back, again, this section here, let's take that. Where is that? Close that off. And let's paint that out. Come on, select. Paint that out. Let's go back to our select tool. And then let's do... It's not straight. You get the idea. All of this. So, again, this is the original square of the house. However, and the very next image, I'm going to explain these two additions right here in the center. Let's go back to that. So, here we go. I'm going to do this in two different colors. We have... We'll do that. Yes, I did that at an angle on purpose. We'll paint that black. Let's flip that. Okay. Let's put that there. Okay, so what I have just covered up in black right here is, or was, the first edition of this whole side. The whole side being all of this. What is covered in black did not exist on the original house. Now, I know this was two separate editions because if I go into this section right here, if I go in here and I look, I can see a roof. So if I go up into the living room and I look up above, and I'll cover that when I get to do an interior walk around, there is a roof right here that exists. And if I go up into this, which is a closet, and I pull up the floor and I look straight down, I can see the green shingles that I pointed out. Where's that picture? Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. This one. These green shingles I can see on the roof that's right here. So this was an exterior porch at some point in time. I also can confirm that down in the cellar with the way the foundation was made. This was an additional piece that was added on. They just stuck block next to existing block. It's not actually connected. So this was a porch, and at some point in time, they decided they wanted to add that porch and make that porch more interior. I don't know if it was at the same time or if it was at a different time. I'm leaning towards at the same time. They decided to build the top portion up here. Come on. Why are you not behaving? There we go. This top portion, I think that was added when they decided to enclose this. And this then became the upstairs closet. At then some later point in time, they put this external chimney on, which they did kind of a nice feature on the inside, making an entire wall kind of a hearth. The problem is, A, it's not a hearth, it's just a fascia, and B, they did it poorly and it's cracking horribly. Again, I don't expect much quality out of any of the work that has been done, because the more I dig into this house, the more I find that things are even worse than I would have initially thought them to be. I bought this house mostly unseen, but again, when you buy a house for $9,900, you kind of have an idea of what you're getting. So, to do a quick, again, a quick rundown, let me choose a different thing. Nope, that's not what I want. I want the lasso. So, all of this and all of this, all of that are additions. Porches that became enclosed, and then new porches, and then they got enclosed. This is the original house, the original square structure of the house, which, again, if we look here, we have this, and there's no additions on the side, there's no chimney on the side. This was the house with its own addition, this part, which is now gone. But this is what I'm left with. This is what I got. Now, a quick point about the roof. So this is the mansard style roof. It's a French roof. You see this a lot in Paris. This was a clever way for people to get around paying taxes, because in Paris, you had to pay taxes based on the number of floors. But if you finished off a roof area, that was not considered a floor, so you didn't have to pay taxes on it. So people in Paris figured that out. Hey, we can actually give ourselves another floor that we can rent or sell on a building, and we don't have to pay tax on it. And this, I think, was in the 1600s, maybe 1700s. It's just nice to know that even back then, people were trying to figure out ways to get around giving the government man money for what they own. Obviously, this section right here, that is the chimney for the boiler, which has not worked for probably ever based on its condition. It's obviously falling apart. One of the reasons I bring this up is because I wanted to focus on right there, which I just blacked out. When I bought this place, you see that this contiguous solid roof. Earlier last summer, I think it was in the last summer, all of a sudden I started getting really, really bad, like, inflood of water every time it rained. It was dripping from everywhere upstairs. And it took me a while to figure out. Finally, I broke out the drone, had to get a new battery for it, flew the drone up, and this was what I found. So some type of animal of some kind was very, very fastidiously trying to find a new home inside my roof. And needless to say, that's a big hole. So when it rains, that was where all my water was coming from. Now, I did fix that, sort of. I just patched it. At some point, I will do a video on that, but that's not for this video. And there you can see again, it didn't exist. I'm sure more small things like that are going to happen over time with this property. Now, a friend of mine asked me, well, are you going to redo the roof? And my answer was, well, no, because I need to redo everything. Primarily, the foundation needs to be completely redone. So they need to lift the house, tear everything out, put in a new foundation, and go from there. So any money that I spend on fixing anything up, exterior, roof, windows, is just a waste of money. Because once the foundation needs to be done first. Anything I do now will probably have to be redone, so it's a waste of money. So the smart money is on just tearing the whole place down and building something new. But I'm not going to do that, because I like that it's an old home. I wanted a project, and I definitely got myself a project. So this is a series that's going to continue as I do more work on the house, as I find out more weirdness, more oddities, and just generally document how this goes. Not just for my friends, but also for me, because when I'm old and senile and I've forgotten 90% of this, I want to be able to look back and remember where it was and where I was able to get it to. So thank you for coming along. I will do an interior walkthrough shortly, and then once I get that done, I will do the videos that I've already pre-recorded of me in the house kind of explaining what I have figured out, probably about 6 months after I moved in officially full-time. Because one thing that I firmly believe about houses is until you live in a house, you don't know its issues. You can look at it and go, well, that's an issue, that's an issue, that's an issue. But until you actually take the time and you live there and you deal with all of the rough things, you don't really know where all the problems are. And I definitely wanted to know where every single problem was in this house, because I knew it had problems. I just needed to find them all out. And as much as I would like to say I have found all of them, there's a part of me that thinks there's still a whole bunch of gremlins just waiting to be discovered. So this is going to be an adventure, and hopefully I can make this at least entertaining for all of you.